Alright, so that's that world. So that world is it's gonna body a lot of beginners. But it is pretty much a mechanic that you need to really master. Because that's like, almost every other mechanic kind of depends on the regrabs. No, we're not at the overworld yet. Alright, so this will teach you about left rights. Basically how to bounce on enemies. So I know people have a lot of trouble balancing on things like saws and spines. So for slow moving enemies, adjust your position with left and right without holding X since you move slower. So this is important to remember. So remember, your max speed, right, was 19 to 21 while you're moving on or without holding Y or X. And most sprites in this game, like this guy moves at 6 or moves at 8. You don't really need to know that, but you just need to know it's slower, so it helps to be able to adjust when you're not holding Y. Because if you're doing it while you're holding Y or X, you're going all over the place, man. So that's why I suggest that you not hold Y. Oh, I'm bad. You not hold X or Y for the slow guys. So that way you turn around slower. Yeah, like I said, the high bounce is going to kick a lot of people's butts, but it's important to master timing. So in some situations, you need a high bounce when bouncing on an enemy to avoid death. To do this, hold A right after bouncing to get a high bounce. Remember the max height from a low bounce level. So this basically tells you that when you're prepared to leave a bouncing obstacle like that, like this one, you want to basically do a low bounce, what was it called? The low bounce, because the low bounce will prepare you for the next jump over the top. Can you clear the first jump with P speed? Probably. So, what I like to think about when I do this is, so if you need to clear like some high little platform, on the second to last bounce, so the jump right before I do it, I hold the A button. So you can see I got a little higher on that jump. So as I prepare for my departure from the ride, the second to last bounce, I hold A. Oh, I did not read the text. So for fast moving enemies, there are two different ways to do left rights. You can either press right without holding X to slow down, and hold X plus right when you need to speed back up. So remember when you are in the air, right? So if you're in the air and you don't hold Y, you slow down until you reach 21 to 19. So that's basically what that is saying. See, like if I'm like in the air and I start holding Y, I start slowing down into the 20s. So that's basically what this is saying. So if you're going too fast, you wanna. So I'm going too fast, right? So I start holding the run button right. So if I go too fast, sorry, if I go too fast, I start letting go of Y and tapping right. It's a little counterintuitive to tap right to slow down, but you can see like you tap right to slow down. Not everyone does this way. This is the way I do it, actually. Saws move at 24, by the way, I think. So if you do want to get the money speed, you want to get for 24, but. You might have to alternate your taps because you're always going to be too fast and too slow. So that's a little tip. So here's the other way, where you can quickly slide your hand from left to right while holding X to slow down. I don't really do this way in saws. So I like to do the little flicks. I wish I had a hand cam, but basically I like, when I do my left rights, so you can see this. I like slide my hand like that. I go like really fast. So you can't do that. I kind of do it here, but it's a little feeling based. Balancing while holding an item is trickier since you cannot let go of X, so lightly tap left to slow down and right to speed up accordingly. So it's basically that previous room, but slower. Like you can do left, right, and to like stay neutral if the speed matches. So yeah, if you feel like your speed is going neutral, or is going like mashing the saw, you can just kind of like go neutral, not press anything. Kind of similar with the saw room, but oh wow, I got the perfect speed. So yeah, let me try this for a bit. So the important thing here to know is that you just want to control your left rights. You don't want to feel like you're spazzing out and you're doing like a bunch of left rights when you don't need to. You need to be able to control it and be like, oh, I'm going too fast, let me just do a quick left right. Am I going too slow? Let me hold right. Am I going too fast? Let me do a quick left right. No, that's the only document. That and the Google Sheets. Pag jump. Wish something like that existed. This all teaches you about teaches you how to adjust your horizontal position while airborne. To do so requires a combination of techniques taught in the previous level. This includes left rights and minor left and right taps. So yeah, left rights are very important for this because you're gonna stumble across areas where you gotta fit in between 2 tile gaps. If you ever have to fit between 1 tile gap, just stop playing the game. But yeah, so the left rights are important for this type of situation where you gotta balance yourself in between like 2 tile gaps or something. So that's where the left rights, they really come into handy. I want some pizza. I have pizza right here. I didn't need it. I didn't eat all of it yet, but we got pizza. Most sections require you to be as close as possible to the munchies to progress. One tip is to tap right as you approach a corner and hold right to get max speed when you feel the time is right. So this is kind of like an intuitive thing. It's not really a get good, but it's more like a you kind of feel when you need to tap right. By tap right, I mean like instead of just holding right to like get max speed, I want you to like tap right to slowly get faster, and then hold it when you feel like you need to reach max speeds, like that. Well, I kind of do that there, but I purposely made this tight so that it forces you to get that feeling down where you can see just getting that first initial jump, this one, you kind of get like a feeling of when you need to start holding right. So people are going to struggle with that, but once you get the feeling down, the rest should be easy. So here's the opposite. Here you gotta land as far right as possible on the block. So again, this is feeling based. Okay, that's not supposed to be a troll, that's a secret. I'm gonna tell you that right now. See, so you kinda don't really use left rights. You can use left rights, but they're like a little more controlled and slower. So like if you're in the air, then you can like kinda show us the secret. Yeah, so the other thing you can do, remember, is you can let go of jump. If you feel like you're too high, right? Like right there I was doing too high. You can let go of jump. But I find it easier to focus on one thing. You either focus on the right taps or the let go of jump. So in this case, I'm only holding right and I'm doing letting go of jump. So it's almost like a regrab. Or you can just hold the jump the entire time and focus on the rights. So that way you only focus on one variable, and if you try to do both at the same time, it gets a little hectic. Personally, I probably would prefer the hold jump method because it gives you more time. Since you're spending more time in the air, it gives you more time to react when you are doing the right taps and holding jump. But it's all situational. Sometimes you might need to be fast and then you have to use the other way. But either way works. It's up to you really. It's personal preference. Here's just a regrab. Testing you the regrab, boys. Off-stream secrets. Midair movement on moving enemies. So here is basically the same concept, except we're throwing in the variable, boys. We're throwing in moving enemies. So this all teaches you how to land on moving enemies using techniques from the previous levels. The most important tip is to understand enemy movements so you can predict where you need to land. So now we got enemies that are moving. So this teaches you to kind of anticipate where you need to land and how you need to land on the enemy. So in this case, I have to land it to the right, or sorry, to the left of it. And if I land to the right, the blue shellless Koopa is going to do that. So you want it to be to the left. So now you're kind of, you might not be able to do the whole jump the entire time because it's dependent on timing now. But you do need to, remember, use the left rights to adjust the position if needed. Oh yeah, make sure you land on the right side for this one. To a meter. Oh, you despawned. Remember about spawning mechanics, boys. Now you can respawn it. So this is the opposite. So you want to land on the right side. So you have to be more conscious of your left inputs now. Or you can be like Doden and do 3 mid-airs and just skip all this. This especially applies to moving shells in enclosed areas. So yeah, this is another level we're gonna go over it later, but that really tests your timing abilities. So here, I hate these guys, dude. To be honest with you, these guys are annoying to deal with. They move back and forth and you have to adjust on the fly. So here's kind of like a similarity in Grand Theft World 2, where you need to really cut the munchers close and land on the Koopas. So that's kind of what I was getting at in that room. So that's like kind of like, that part will help you with the first level of Grand Theft World 2. And alright, Doe did the triple mid-air. Switching between jump types. Is that sound of music for the end? Yeah. Alright, so this teaches you about the slide, the hand slide, or the claw. So it teaches you how to switch between normal jumps and spin jumps in a short period of time. This requires you to press A or B once touching the ground, depending on the jump needed. So you can, so remember, B is a jump on, right? And A is the spin jump. So you can see, they're right there. And generally, most of the time, you probably would hold the same button that you used to jump. So if you're jumping B, you hold it. But then if you need to press A immediately after, it's kind of like, oh, I gotta move my finger over. I gotta move my thumb over. So it teaches you some techniques to make it a little easier to do. So there are 2 ways. There's probably more, but these are 2 common ways. And also, this mainly applies if you play on controller. If you play on keyboard, it does not matter because you can remap the keys. But if you're playing on controller like me, you can do one of 2 options. And the first option is what I do, and that's the slide, the hand slide. So Y and B, you generally press B when you hold Y, and you generally press A when you hold X. So you can see, right? I'm pressing these 2 together. I think of them as like a couple. Y and B are a couple. A and X are a couple. So what I like to do is just slide across. So slide across, slide back. So that's what I do. And the second way is the claw. So you can either like claw with your index finger. So like, you can see my index finger right here. I'm pressing the A button. I do this very, very rarely. I've also seen people claw with like X and use B and A with their thumb. I don't know how you can do that, but I generally find the slide easier to do. But you can suit whatever floats your boat, I guess. So if you like look at my input display, you can see I'm sliding. I actually slide my top buttons first, or I usually slide X and then slide to A, so kind of like that. But use your thumb to press X and B and A. Oh yeah, I know people have to do that as well. I tried that, but I'm not comfortable with the B button that way. So yeah, one thing I also like to do is if you know what jump type you need to do beforehand is I pre-switch the jump button. Or sorry, the grab button. So like I'm in the air and I immediately swap to X beforehand, so it makes it easier. So if you look here, you can see I know what jump type is going to be ahead, and I preemptively switch before I get there. Oh, I'm dead. So like right before I land, I usually switch. You can't do these with normal jumps, but if you time it correctly, you can just hold the A button instead of have to do a regrab. So most of the time, it doesn't matter which buttons you press. Sometimes you do need to press the B button. See, like right there, I didn't need to press A. but I only do like short jumps, or I use spin jumps for shorter jumps and B for longer jumps, so. But most of the time it doesn't really matter, it's all like personal preference or if it just makes it easier. There's a door up there. Hey, this is not a secret stream. We're not teaching about the secrets yet. Back jump. Predicting enemy movement. Okay, so this is kind of a extension of this level. Do I push all the buttons on the right of your controller with my thumb? Yes. I do. Except the R button. Like this button, I use my index finger. So this all teaches you how to time jumps based on cycles certain enemies follows. Since these enemies act the same way every cycle, their movement is predictable. No, none of these enemies are on global timers. So this is less about how good you are mechanically. It's all good about if you get into the rhythm of things. So you can see these bullet bills, they always shoot at the same time, and you can use that timing to anticipate when you need to start moving forward. Like that. You get the timing down. Bullet bills move slightly slower than max running speed, so do left right every bounce slow down. They move at speed 32, so you do have to slow down slightly. I do my fast left rights, but you can do it however you'd like. You can also let go of Y to slow down, but I don't like that method. I might be dead here. This one's tight. I was like, should I nerf this? And people were like, no. I'm like, okay. Make it harder for you. So yeah. Sometimes you can jump to create visual cues for certain obstacles. So if you're in a situation where you're not going to die just by standing somewhere and you have time, it's pretty good to come up with your own visual cues. So you can use jumping as an indicator. So for example, if I jump when the shell is all the way to the left, it's going to be about all the way to the left again when I land. So that means I want to jump when the shell is like halfway, so that way it's about halfway when I land. So that's an example of visual cue that we just created just now. So you can see, we're going to create a visual cue. So it kind of helps with timing things as well. Once you get the timing down, you can react accordingly, predicting its movement. Clown chucks can only jump when you are about 3 tiles above. Past chuck 8, jump when his hands are up. This will allow you to be airborne when he is on the ground. No, let go of B to fall faster. So you like that little graphic? So that's when his hands are up. Hands up, dude. So yeah, when his hands are up, he jumps. I like this method because you can see I'm basically already at the ground when he's jumping. Remember, you have to be about 3 blocks above him for him to jump. Because he can only jump up when his hands are up. So again, you want to let go of B once you know you're about to, when you're above him. So that way it gives you enough clearance. Because the most important thing when clearing chuck gates is you want to be on the ground as fast as possible when his hands are up. A lot of people do this. I mean, if it helps the time, you can always make him jump. Because that's another way to predict enemy movement. Because you're like, oh, he always jumps, so I know when he's going to jump, so I can know when I can go underneath him. But I don't do that. I do this method, where it's like he jumps. Remember to hold B to cross the gap. Landing on falling enemies. Alright, this is I hate this one. So this will teach you how to bounce off of mid-air enemies. These suck. They really do. I'm trying to put them less in hacks, but they are very annoying to deal with. Ideally, you want to bounce off the enemy a little after the peak of your jump and when the enemy is at max fall speed. Because you want that so that way you can adjust your position, your vertical position by doing like kind of regrab inputs, so you can spin jump or land on the enemy that you're trying to land on. Because the enemy is moving at max fall speed, you can anticipate that, you can predict the movement, so you can adjust accordingly. Remember, you want to be predictable. That's the most important thing. Remember to let go of A if you're thinking too high. So that's kind of like we're telling you to remember to do regrabs. Similar to doing regrab. You can only bounce off enemies if you're moving downwards. So if your Y speed is 0, actually it's never 0. If your Y speed is 1, you can bounce off of an enemy. No, it's negative. It's -1. And if it's +1, then you're gonna die. So that's what it means by moving downwards. You have to actually be moving downwards for yourself to be bouncing off an enemy. So this right here, it's kind of like regrab inputs. So these are a lot like regrab inputs. Nice haircut. Oh, I did get a haircut, thank you. Sometimes visual cues can be created to make these types of jumps easier. Remember that you can respawn sprites. Well, I'm bad. Yoshi's lenient. Keep in mind that sprites and enemies, they do move slightly slower than you, so you can eventually catch up to it if you like are too high. But it's so like a small amount that most of the time it's just not gonna be worth it. You would just die anyways. Unfortunately, a visual cues cannot be created, you have to wing it. The most important part is knowing when and how long to let go of A when necessary. So this is more feeling based. It's kind of a little annoying, but Dorito jumps, man. Dorito jumps. Barb loves the Dorito jumps. Is that it? No. Bombs are a special case since they start slower but accelerate downwards faster than other enemies. They're also a special case because you dictate when it falls down. Most of the time, like, the enemy falls off for whatever reason out of your control, but you dictate when he starts moving. So this one's more in your control, but again, you have to kind of get the feeling of how much you want to do your left-right and when you need to let go of jump, because for this to work, you have to do like a little left-right. You have to do this little motion right here. It's like that. You can spin jump off the thwomps as they start moving if you fall fast enough. Oh, okay. Congratulations, you did it. Assessment 2. You know what's up, Ariana? Assessment number 2, left-right, mid-air movement on moving enemies, switching between jump types, predicting enemy movement, landing on falling enemies, all previous concepts. So, penis. Dude, you know I had to put a penis in there. Okay, so, do I remember this? I don't know if I remember this level. Oh, this is a good level. I'm not a big fan of this level. It's hard though, but it's pretty good. So there's not much to say about these levels. You just have to, I don't know. I guess I just have to say you have to get good. How are you doing, Ariana? Smile. Yo, what's up, Psycho? Summer, listen. Okay, so this one is a little trickier. Ah, dang. This one will probably give people trouble, but it's a little tight. Oh my god, I'm actually bad. Just apply what you learn. Alright. Doing a little better. Now that this hack is out, we're doing a little better. Okay, there we go. There we go, boys. So the Teslas might give people trouble, but they shouldn't be out of this world. So this is a good left-right practice room. It's important to note that the saw doesn't lose any momentum when it bounces off the wall, so its speed goes from 24 to -24 immediately upon impact. Congratulations, you beat the level. Dude, we're upgrading it. Pog you?